Sounds like it.
Oh, I was like, did I do that? And then I see it over there.
John Fair would always be like, sitting here, need to go in the middle of the meeting. He would just hit it with his pencil, like, and then pretend like it's got like somebody be talking and be like, it's kind of cool.
Okay. A printed copy of it. Do you have them?
No, I asked for one.
Okay, I was making sure I saw that.
This is the minutes.
Okay.
I need the one for with this
Got
meeting
it,
on because
got
I
it.
couldn't. Because when I got around to doing it, we were there was no service left on the first floor.
There you go.
Great. And
Do you have minutes or? Okay. I do not have minutes, but I have.
you can definitely share this. Okay. For you.
Okay.
That's the minutes.
John? You have an agenda or does that minute? Oh, okay. Would you like a physical?
Got both.
All right. All right. All right. I've got, what time you got, Brian?
8:32.
All right, it is 8:32. Call this meeting of the Utilities Commission for August 1st, 2024 to order. All right, let's see. Looking back on the July 11th meeting of the Utilities Commission, we got the minutes that have been electronically distributed, and we've got a few paper copies up here. Do any of the commission members have any additions or corrections? Hearing none. Well, actually, before we get into that, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Sires,
Here.
Mr. Ball,
Here.
Mr. Reinhardt, Ms. Busenberg,
Here.
Mr. Gant.
All right, we have a quorum present, but just barely. All right.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 11th, 2024 Utility Commission meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving right along, we move into the adjustment journal that is attached in the minutes. Is there anything noteworthy, Mr. Cook?
Everything on there is fairly standard. The first one is just our bulk water. We had pretty good sales for last month. The second one is a refund. The customer had left and had a large donation from one of the charities. That money goes back to them, of course, if somebody leaves. So that was the payback for that. And then the second one was also somebody that had left that had too much credit sitting on their account, so they were cut a check as well.
Okay.
I will move to approve the July 2024 adjustment journal.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk can call the roll.
Mr. Sires,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes.
Ms. Busenberg,
Yes.
All right, motion is approved. Right along here, in new business, we've got Montgomery Leak Forgiveness and Payment Plan. Let's move over here. Is Mr. Montgomery here? All right, Mr. Montgomery, if you want to take the stand there.
Yes, sir.
All right, Rob, does he have to swear in on this one? No? Okay. All right, so we've got a graph here that. I don't know what it means. So if somebody wants to inform me, Brad, do you want to?
I can explain if you'd like.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Montgomery, if you want to take a seat, I'm sorry for bringing you up to the podium there.
You can have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just a recap of the situation. So I believe we hooked up water out at the Buckeye Edition.
Yeah, I was gonna
And-
ask, this is a new account, right?
Yes, this is a new account.
When was it hooked up?
Looks like April.
Yeah, this is the overage bills. It would have been somewhere in that range. I don't know exactly when the date that it was hooked up as.
I
But,
think this starts at April 8th, so.
Yeah, so the issue was that there was a running toilet and the customer was not aware of that. So they went through a substantial amount of consumption. We did notify them. They did, I think, shut the water off to the toilet. But this is the amount of 100 cubic feet that they went through, which is 43, which is pretty substantial. That's over the minimum by 35. So
Not a small amount.
not a small amount at all. Yeah. And for people that like the gallons contest, that's times 750 to get your gallons. So it's a substantial amount of gallons. And then I just kind of laid out the charges here so that you guys can see them kind of broke down and what the overage charges are. That's what the last column's there. So your per CCF over is $5. So for every 100 cubic feet that you go over the minimum for, it's $5 for water and $7.46 for sewer. So it's just kind of showing you the math there. So the totals for just the extra water that went through was 175 in water and 261 in sewer. So I just kind of laid that out so that you guys have all the details. So if you decide to make any decisions there, and then the notes are just kind of explaining that the leak went over 2 months because you obviously don't always catch that within 1 month period. It was caught after going into 2 months of billing, so there was 2 high bills related to that. Customer did get some assistance for that. Organizations in Mount Vernon help out with that, so they got 2 separate payments, one for each. But there was still some overage charges to it that they had to cover themselves, and I believe that's what he would like to talk about. You guys have any questions about the information?
So what would the remaining overage be?
So that 436.10 is the total for all water over the minimum billing charges. However, like I said, they did receive 2 pledges.
I think there's a summary sheet on the back up 2 pages.
Yeah, if you go to the 3rd page in, you'll see the actual account summary.
No. There we go.
Yeah. So you have 175 water, 261 sewer on this page.
Yes, that was the one I was explaining. I'm sorry if we weren't on the same page. April, can you go?
yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at
We were
page
looking at
6 of the packet.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense why you didn't understand what I was saying. Okay, so I've been trying to figure out how to best bring information to you guys because I realized, I look at this for a couple hours before
Yeah.
I lay this all out. So I'm trying to summarize it all for you, and I understand that it can be confusing. So this format that I have up here is the one that I've been trying to bring back with me so that you guys
Sure.
can stay with me on it because it takes some time to digest it. So that was what I was describing there. So that just lays out everything in a way that if you guys decided to make any decision on payment opportunity or refund or credit, that kind of lays out what those charges could be.
So you're saying the current amount due is $391.31?
So it was, but they received a pledge. So
Okay.
So,
let's see the problem is this is all from last month, right?
yeah. Well, let's see. So,
But the leak's been stopped, right?
Yeah, the leak has been corrected.
So
There,
we'll be back to normal.
So 391.31 less the 208.75 from the pledge, less the monthly bill, which is what?
60.
well, theirs is around $100 because they have a Clint
Clint.
Township
Just shy of 100.
revenue charge as well. So that 3rd page will show page 6.
Back to page 6.
Yep, that shows the actual charges. Okay. Minus this month's bill that went out today, right? I don't have that on here, obviously. And they did get an additional credit, all right, an additional pledge after that $391, and it was around $200. So their current total as of right now with this month's bill would be they're down to 129.71 after their pledges and this month's charges.
And that's above the normal.
No, that's 129.71 because this month they had 600 cubic foot of usage, so they were 2 over, which could be considered normal usage.
Okay. So maybe we frame this in a motion that involves you doing some back calculation later.
Right.
Well,
Well, he hasn't actually made a request to you guys. I'm
Yeah.
explaining the data. You should probably see what he
Yeah.
wants to do
Yeah,
first.
yeah, that's
That would-
okay, yeah.
And then if you have more questions, I'll come back up. Will that
Sure.
work? Okay.
that's what,
Just trying to.
yeah,
You got a lot of moving parts here.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
There are.
think
It's a
we're
lot
putting-
to put together
yeah, we're
too,
putting-
and I seem to always bring the opposite of what you guys want, and I try to shift it.
no,
No,
this is very helpful.
We
so
now
don't-
understand what's happening.
All right.
And we just, like I said, I was going to sit and look at this yesterday, and it didn't work. So
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
We'll s-
I'll-
I see numbers, and now I understand them. Mr. Montgomery, would you like to? Or, yeah, this time it's for real.
For real this
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, we got page 4 and 6. Where are we at?
Just want you to get your steps in this morning. You're welcome. Okay, what would you like?
What would I like? Well, I just like, I know we've been paying too much money. I don't know. I'd like to have some of that, paying for something we're not using.
Well, after the explanation that Mr. Cook made, with a leaking, an unknown leaking toilet, there was an excessive fee, okay? And then we've received, looks like 2 different credits from like Interchurch.
Over 400.
Okay. And then you've got a bill that is on average, which, we can't control because that's Clinton Township.
Yeah.
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 So, and we can't forgive Clinton Township. I can give you the trustees and the water district number, I guess. But I'm not really quite sure where we go from here. Is Interchurch or any of the other organization that gave the credit, are they asking for their money back?
No, sir.
Okay. So this month you have a standard bill with like 2.
Well, I think we're specifically talking about the leaky toilet incident, right?
Right.
Okay. Is that what you're requesting?
What's that?
A credit for the time where the toilet was leaking?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's been handled. Yeah.
Well, I thought you said there was a couple $100 left.
There's currently 129, which is their current bill. It was paid up.
So, help us understand. Did the services pay for 100% of the water and sewer related to the overage of the toilet leakage, in your opinion?
It was not 100%. No.
What amount would be not covered in the
I'll have to get you those numbers because I don't know exactly. I believe they made a $200 payment on their own, so roughly $100 of that would have been part of the overages.
Okay.
But I have to get you the exact
Okay.
figures.
Well, I would make a motion that we credit this difference amount for the 100% of this leak, water and sewer, for this case.
Well, hold on one second, because I see 2, there was a payment on 6/14 and a payment on 7/8 for $200 and 208.75.
So the payment from 6/14 was the customer's payment.
Right.
The check that they
And
wrote.
then and that was a credit payment, okay. The $200 payment, on 6/14, is about 3 times as much, 4 times as much as they typically, is that a typical payment from 5/14, which was 56.49?
That was a partial from the initial startup.
Okay. So the average payment is what?
It's around $100.
Around $100, okay.
If
So
you're
let's-
using 400 CCF.
Okay.
So if
So,
there's a little bit over that, your baseline would be
Yeah.
slightly higher.
so,
Well, let me give a background here, right? So I wouldn't normally make a motion like this, but this, in my opinion, is a special case. We have an area where we have a lot of new customers. We put in pressure reducers. We're hooking people up to higher pressure water. So even if we set the pressure at 70, their probably pressure was closer to 40. And we knew these kind of things had a possibility of happening because you're taking an existing house that, how long have you lived in your house, sir? How long have you lived in your house?
Oh, probably 12, 13 years.
Yeah. And the house is older than that. You bought it.
New, it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
we moved in 2007.
Yeah. So you're taking an existing house and we're changing the pressure, we're making changes, and we knew these kind of things would happen. So in this particular case, I'm willing to make up this difference in 100% for this case. Normally, we don't do that.
thoughts? Well, actually, let's get a motion on the floor
Okay.
here.
I will make a motion that the Utility Commission credit the remaining funds in the excess related to this toilet leak for water and sewer back to the average bill.
I can second that. Second.
Well,
Well,
is
hold on,
that,
yeah,
But
I
Brad will
think
have
that-
to calculate it. We
Well,
don't know the number.
well, but the number is what's left here, and then they have a new bill on top of that. So what you're asking for is what's currently shown as still owed before the new bill is added on this form right here. Is that what you're asking for?
I'm asking for a delta, like the missing piece. So if their average bill is 400,
we
or-
can't bring a motion to the floor without an undefined number.
we can assign Brad to find the number and authorize him to find
Yeah,
the
but
number.
we can't vote on that in a public meeting we can't vote on an undefined number.
Well, you know it's less than $500.
We
So-
can vote on a
wait,
number
wait.
not greater than
Yes.
X.
Okay, we can add that.
Okay.
Friendly amendment, not less than,
let-
or not more than $500, $300.
In a public meeting, we cannot vote on
No,
that.
no, no. I'm trying to think about how you're going to instruct Brad here to find the number. I mean, that's the real question. That-
Well, we can wait and come back, we can go on and
I
bring
mean,
this back up.
that's the sort of, I mean,
If you want to, Jenny will have this figured out in about 5 minutes.
Why don't we table
Let's
this?
table this for,
And
yeah,
move on.
until the end of the meeting, and then we should
Well,
be able to
we'll have
figure
an
that
actual
out.
number.
Yeah,
Okay?
there's a procedure.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Montgomery, we're gonna table this until the, end of this meeting, and then we'll have the total of the credit, and then we're gonna vote on that. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, they're gonna
Then
do some
We'll
math
have a better
in the
idea
back.
of what the
Yeah.
actual math is. Yeah. All right. You wanna take a seat for just a second? All right.
Get more steps in.
Yeah.
You need to be here.
That was an ordeal. Okay.
Well, it's okay. Yes.
Oh, yeah, just have a
Just hang
seat.
out. They're
Just-
gonna do some math for
yeah,
you in the back.
Yeah, just hang tight.
Don't leave yet.
Okay. Speaking of an ordeal. All right.
We want to get this resolved today.
Yeah, we're gonna figure this out.
We'll take care of it. Hang tight. All right, next up, we got,
Thomas Underwood.
Thomas Underwood, leak forgiveness and payment plan.
Why don't we have Brad come up and explain what's going on here? Thomas Underwood.
First is Mr. Underwood present, or a representative for Mr. Underwood.
Nope.
We are going to,
We'll-
So I did send letters, by the way.
Okay.
We've drafted letters. We have them, and we send them
Yep.
out to everyone now. So
And
he
just-
did receive a letter.
for the commission and for the public, after last meeting, we gathered together and talked about, kind of a new procedure and policy about how we contact folks if they are anticipated to come before the commission. So they were contacted. Mr. Underwood's not here.
Yeah, he stopped in, I think, the day of the meeting, or day after the meeting, and we informed him that he'd missed it, and so we sent him a letter again. He said he wanted to be here today. I believe he's just asking for a payment plan, but
Okay,
since he's not here.
right. We also talked about the ability for payment plans in that
Right.
meeting, so administratively as well. So we are going to move on, and Mr. Underwood can come back next time. Moving right along. Forgive me, Mimi Moolah?
Yes.
Okay, nailed it. All right, you can come on up. So we're gonna be talking about contesting some charges, so take it away.
Yes. Well, okay, so the house, it doesn't have a sink, bath, or anything like that. It's a new construction. So I don't live in Mount Vernon. We're just working on it. And the day that I called in, because the plumber had told me to have the water turned on to check pressure or something like that, I got it turned on, and I called right away after an hour, 2 hours, and told them to turn it off. And I was told okay, and then I received this huge bill.
What is
when
the
it was
address?
about
Address.
the address that was sent to, or
Where
the
is
home
the
address.
house located?
Okay, 401 East Bob, no, 401 East Ohio Ave.
Okay,
So,
carry on. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I called in the number on the bill, and I told them, hey, I've received this bill, and I've told, I've talked to one of the customer service, and I was told that okay when I told you guys the same day to shut it off. And well, they told me I have to come in and sign a paper, a waiver for $75 and pay that amount in order to do that. To have them to pull the meter. So I mean, just it's a lot of bill, and I haven't used the water. And I told them, can you guys send somebody, a technician or something, to check in the house, because it's just the only thing that's there is just the plumbing. There's no sink, there's no toilet, no bath, no water is running at all. And I just thought that's just unfair to pay something that I haven't used, a water that I haven't used.
so do we have the bill here? I don't see that as part of the,
There's an attachment, it says total for vacancy rate as of 7/19/24 is 930.86 plus 75 for 1,586. Does that sound?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have that? Everybody has that attachment?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Page 13 of the packet.
Okay.
Yep. What is your current billing address?
210 McFalls Way.
Say that again.
McFalls, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, C as in Charlie, F as in Frank, A as in Apple, L as in Larry, L as in Larry, S as in Sam, McFalls Way, Black Lake, Ohio, 43004.
Okay. Do we have like a breakdown of what the fees are for? Because there's water, wastewater, and
Is that the accurate address that we have on?
you have that address? Is that where the
Because it says that we've been sending bills, but if we've been sending bills to an inaccurate
When-
address.
We've had, if you see, can you go up on April, please?
when
Yeah, all of those are return mails. We had to write down the billing address from the county auditor site. It wasn't correct, and we had to make another adjustment.
when did you buy the house?
April 2023. Yeah, April 19, somewhere.
When did you first get a utility bill?
Why didn't I get a
No,
utility?
when? If you bought it
When,
in April,
Well, I was aware of it, and when it was about, that was in July. That was, well, yeah, last month.
so you bought in April of 23?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you use a realtor?
Yes.
Okay. So part of this is that whether there's water or not, there is a stormwater fee that happens monthly. So I'm guessing, I haven't looked at this yet, but you would have a substantial stormwater bill if no one has made any payments from 23 into present. Because that, the stormwater, if the structure is on the site, there's a bill for stormwater utility if the water's on or not. You can't turn that off without demolishing the structure.
Okay.
Or if you can stop the rain.
Yeah. So, let's look at the, did the realtor explain to you that you have to contact the water office to change the service address?
No, we didn't discuss that.
But you called in and you asked them to turn on the water, correct?
I did, yeah. And I called in the same day to have it to turn off, because that was just to check in the pressure.
When was that?
Ooh, that was last year. That's why I'm shocked with this bill when I received it on my home address that I'm living in.
But you never provide, when you called in to have it turned on, did you provide your correct home address?
Yes. Well, was I asked? I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
So it says on shut-off list for November, still off per W3.
For non-payment.
Yeah, and that was on 1/22/24. And this is just water still off, vacant, water still off. This is 4/16/24, still off in July 24. It kind of jumps around actually. It's kind of hard to follow. Yeah, it's not in calendar order here.
His system does that something. All right.
So is the water still off in the?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so question for the billing office. When the request came to turn the water on to do the pressure check, did they ask to catch up on the late fees?
I would assume that that's what always happened. So,
Yeah, so we're just trying to understand, so we don't.
okay. So when somebody calls in and asks to turn on the water, if the account's not current in their name, we would have gotten their address, updated their information, turned the water on. If somebody calls and says they have a leak and asks us to turn off the water, we don't turn off the water and stop billing. We shut off the water so they can make the leak repair.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what's happened here. We may not have explained right then if we didn't know she meant to leave the water off, but there were a couple of times that we talked with her on the phone and explained that in order to stop billing minimum charges, you do have to pay the $75 fee and put it in the vacation or waiver of minimum charges. So that was explained a couple of times over the phone.
Which that is reported here.
Yeah, and we also added the fee, assuming she was coming in to pay that to get it shut off. So it was explained.
Okay. And then there aren't, let me ask another question while you're standing there. There aren't any, we're not asking her to pay anything before the acquisition date of April 23.
So there's actually been certifications to the county on this account.
So it would have been on lien at the time of acquisition.
I will have to check those exact dates.
Well, then that should have been paid when the property transferred.
Okay, yeah, property transfer, first bill went out, 5/24.
But when did the lien go on?
Okay, the lien write-off was,
Lien write-off?
it says write-off on our account.
You have to write it off,
The date.
or it screws up our system.
It pulls off of our, it pulls off of our billing. That would have been 4/24 when that happened.
It's just a terminology in the billing system. We're not actually writing it
So-
off.
So it's likely that the lien is on there as well. So there's also a lien on the lien against the property for previous unpaid bills.
There is, yes.
Did you do a title search on the property?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, we did actually. We did. I haven't, yes.
Okay.
Title search was done.
Okay.
What's your intent with this property?
Property was some messed up property that we got. As we are like a flipper, so we are trying to remodel it or possibly rent it or sell it.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'll throw out something for conversation. I would be willing to waive all the late fees associated with this account from the date of acquisition if all other fees are previous and all liens and fees are brought up to standard, the payment.
Yeah.
That's not a motion, that's a conversation.
Well, hold on.
But go ahead.
Let me check something. Brad, you said that we certified it on April 24th? Is that
Yeah,
right?
that was it was the date that the process ran, yes.
Okay. Because according to the county auditor, she purchased the property on 4/17.
So the lien wouldn't have been,
So
it wouldn't have been enacted.
So that there's a significant lien sitting on the property for everything prior to that she probably needs to discuss with her realtor and the previous owner, who's technically responsible, but that's sitting there on the property right now.
So you're saying it's like the ship's passing in the night. So we would have sent it to the county, she bought it, and then the county certified it after the purchase.
After the purchase, yeah.
It looks that way. I mean, that's sort of the best that we can do based upon here is that it didn't go on until about a week after.
And that's 4/17/24.
23.
23.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just to
'cause I have-
confirm, it's not
Yeah.
different years. All right.
And so that's sitting there as well, and that's, we're not here to do anything, we can't do anything about that. But, so, I just wanted to make sure that,
Well, if she did the title search when she bought the house, that wouldn't have showed up.
no, it wouldn't have, but,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's in reality, the prior owner is responsible.
Sure.
So
Yep.
so she'll need to take that up with her realtor and the prior owner.
So thoughts on Brian's non-motion proposition?
Well, we can't,
Well, you
Well,
can,
so that's
you
a-
can waive, I don't see the issue with that.
Well, I'm saying waive fees.
no, but we have to have a motion on the floor to have some sort of discussion. Well,
Conversation.
Yeah.
Wasn't
whatever you
discussion.
guys want. Okay,
Yeah.
you guys, if
Yeah.
you guys want to do it, I'm just,
Well, I mean, because then I make a motion and you say I did it wrong. I'm in triple jeopardy over here.
Brian,
Why can't you get this right?
I don't know. There's no easy answer. That's why. I mean,
Sit
we
in this
want.
chair and then you start bruising it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oof.
She purchased the house in 23, not 24.
When
Yeah.
did the lien go on?
24.
That's what I was.
oh, well,
Lien is-
okay.
The lien is her
So
house.
we,
Oh, the lien
lien
is
is-
hers.
that's what
Oh,
I
I'm
was-
sorry.
So is there any?
Until the fall of 23,
Okay.
or 24, I'm sorry, fall of 24.
Okay,
First
so
time
everything
in
was
like
paid.
3 years.
So
okay.
we feel comfortable.
So,
We feel comfortable that the previous owner was paid up at the time of closing.
If they weren't, it wouldn't have went towards her. We checked
It would have
everything
been-
before it goes
Okay.
Okay.
The only time that that has a mix-up is if it's happening right at the time, or the
Yeah.
sales happen right at the time of sending a certification. Because we would have no idea that it's happening yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought had happened.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time double checking all that.
Okay.
All right, great. All
So-
right, so let's go back. Let's rewind. So bills are accumulating, and mail is being sent and it's being returned. There's no way to contact the owner. So then it goes through the lien process. The lien is applied. So
What is the amount owed after the lien?
That's the numbers that you have. I did not, sorry, I
Okay.
have to be at the mic all the time when I'm talking. It's gonna be tough for April.
This-
That
this
is
sheet-
current charges,
is after the lien.
correct.
Okay. Right.
Okay. All right.
I can make a motion and you guys can vote it down. How about that?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, our goal is to get this house back into service, I think. I mean, the water turned off is not
Producing.
producing. You know, we want to have somebody in the house. Well, let's ask, come back up, what's your request before I start making up stuff and getting yelled at?
My request for,
What's your request? You owe us, what's the total? $1,000?
$920.
You owe us,
It's currently up to $1,030.66.
yes, you owe us a little over $1,000.
yeah, well, I mean, you guys could decide, but I just feel like it's unfair for things that, I mean, I've called the same day. I could bring my plumber as a witness to have it turned off. I guess I didn't understand the
So-
policy here in Mount Vernon versus Columbus where I live in, so,
So I'm assuming Columbus has a stormwater fee also.
yeah.
So the day you took the property, you had a responsibility of, did you connect with the power and gas companies
Yes.
when you bought it? Okay, so there's a responsibility that you knew to contact the gas company, you knew to contact the power company. I mean, we're just a utility. We're no different than a power or gas company other than we're government versus private. So I have a trouble waiving anything beyond the late fees just because there is a stormwater fee that happens every month.
yeah.
Okay, well, if I could get it shut off too, because I've been asking that for,
So is the water on right now?
The water is off, billing is on.
Okay.
Because she hasn't pulled the meter.
In order
Oh.
to go into waiver of minimum charge, the rules say that you have to have the account paid up and pay the $75 fee before we'll pull the meter.
Yes.
okay, then I'll just need the meter pull off then. That's, yeah.
Well, you have to pay we have to catch up the account before we can do that.
So,
All right, they're doing some,
yeah.
thanks.
Can you explain the color coding here? So the gray is all penalties.
For stormwater.
I'll have to.
Come on, approach the
The only
bench.
notes I have.
Approach the bench.
It says sewer, water, and utility.
So all gray is penalties and
For,
divided up by the
for
services.
everything,
Correct.
for sewer, water, and the stormwater utility.
Correct.
All right. The purple here
Those
is
are shut off fees,
okay.
That's a non-payment.
non-payment fees. Sorry.
So, I think most I'm willing to do, most I would be willing to do is the charge $298 for each one of the per bill.
Well, it's because it's divided, so it's 10% of the bill and then it's divided up.
So the total is 48.64.
And then if you're gonna do those might make sense.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, gray and purple.
So it'll wipe out all of this with the exception of the stormwater utility.
No.
No, these three
Gray
would
and purple.
have to pay those.
So the
Utility, I would say.
Stormwater is, I mean, I get that we built for stormwater for services, but that's the same as water and wastewater. There's a minimum charge that's on our books, it's in our rules, regulations, and ordinances. So I think that should be treated the same as stormwater.
So how about this?
We'd be forgiving basically the lack of communication,
So,
but not the
yeah.
fundamental.
So
Go ahead.
she has not used water.
Correct.
However, between the stormwater fees and essentially the wastewater fees, she's not used wastewater either.
No.
We charge everyone service availability.
Sure.
Can't see
320, 48. But the 48 is collectively for everything.
Yeah, yeah. So
So-
this is.
So ma'am,
Drop the bucket.
your home address is 210
48,
McFalls
64,
Way, Blacklick, Ohio, 43004. Is that correct?
Yes, that's where I live currently.
Okay. And we've been sending you bills to that residence since July of 2023, correct?
No.
Because that's the date we kept getting returns, and that's the first date that they started sending you the bills.
The first time I received the bill was somewhere
you're talking
in
of
July
the
or
48
June, I
wasn't
would
it?
say this year.
Okay.
That's what.
Well,
Yeah. I would be.
You're essentially.
Yeah. 320 plus the 48. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could do that. Yeah. You don't.
I'm not voting.
Glad to see you.
Glad to be here.
You cool with that? All right.
I'll let,
All right. You want
I'll let Ms. Busenberg make the motion this
Okay.
time, because I'm in
Alright.
triple probation over here.
He's in motion jail.
We need Aaron. Where's Aaron? Doing something.
So, I will make a motion to waive the penalty and shut-off fees for the 401 East Avenue property, which totals $368.64.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? I think we've about beat this horse to death. All right, clerk may call the roll.
Mr. Sires?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Ms. Busenberg?
Yes.
All right. So talk to Mr. Cook, pay that completely up, and get that meter out of there.
Yeah. How do I could do it today, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can stop over. Our office is just around the corner at 3 North Gate Street.
Okay. And you also mentioned the house had a lien. Is that what it was mentioned? Because I just
There's a lien.
texted- It was
That's
the title
with,
was
that would be
searched
with the county. Yeah.
with the county.
And it was after your purchase. So
Yeah.
that'll-
Yeah. It wouldn't have.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
on. That's on you. So yeah, go talk to the treasurer. I think that's where you file it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank
county
you.
treasurer's office.
All right.
Yep.
So I'm done here.
Yep.
Yeah. See them after the meeting. Because they won't, this won't.
3 North Gate Street. It's just around the corner.
Oh, just in here?
No, if you walk out the front of the building here and take a left, go up between the buildings, we're just on the right-hand side.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
3 North Gate Street.
Thank you.
Your colored paper needs to be grabbed. Yeah, we'll get you that back, 'cause that's,
All right. Do we have an update on the Montgomerys?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
all right. Yay.
Okay, so the total that Mr. Montgomery has paid, minus what the pledges were, was $103.17.
Take it away, Brian.
Say that number again.
$103.17. Thanks to Jenny. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jenny.
All
Glad
right.
you're here.
What's the address?
Unlike John Ruckman over here, who doesn't do anything.
He's our support.
Yeah,
He's here.
he's auditing.
Emotional support.
Okay. I would make a motion that we forgive $103.17 for the bill at 12 Harrison Avenue for Mr. Montgomery related to the leak soon after his connection to city water.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk may call the roll.
Mr. Sires?
Yes,
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Ms. Busenberg?
Yes.
motion passes.
Good work,
There you
team.
High five. All right. Moving on now to, okay, I got that here. Oh my God, everything. All right,
Page 2.
yeah.
All right, now I gotta get my notes
The Fairgrounds Road construction authorization.
All right. Exciting news. In the 2003 master plan of the water system, it was strongly suggested that we connect water from along Fairgrounds Road from Route 3 to Mansfield Avenue, Old Mansfield Road, aka whatever you want to call it. Also, yeah. So we have multiple issues in the Mansfield Avenue, longitude, latitude of low pressure, fire hydrants don't meet standard, water system breaks, are draining out people's water heaters. And we've done extensive computer modeling, and the best answer is a 8-inch water line along Fairgrounds Road. So this is not in the city. So we have a contract between the city and the county. So we approached the county commissioners and the county engineer to put this project together. That resulted in a large partnership. So county commissioners have allocated us and transmitted ARPA funds that have to be allocated by December 31st onto a project, onto a purchase order. We have county water funds, and we're doing an OPWC project. While we're there, the county engineer realized they have a pretty serious drainage problem at the just east of the racehorse barns, so they'll be doing a drainage project. This also includes some sanitary sewer because we're not sure that we can completely fix the issues in the Clintonville subdivision with the existing lift station. So our plan was to extend sanitary basically to the top of the hill so we could pump back to the Fairgrounds Road sewer if in the future we need to. And what else do we have? And then we're gonna, as a partnership, we're also gonna resurface the road. So altogether, the project is a little over 2.3 million, and it is a market basket of 9 different funding areas, and 2 of those are city. So we recognize the current stress on the water, so we are trying to keep the cost of water at a minimum. So this project would take out an OPWC loan that would be paid back by our water over time. It would be 0% for 20 years, so that we're not burdening the water department. One question we'll need to address, this is primarily, both water and sewer are essentially for transmission purposes. We have met with the township multiple times. I'll look at Rob. We would like to exempt this project from service availability because we'd be classifying it as a transmission system, not a local service system.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we've met with the township trustees, met with the health department, obviously the county commissioners, the small lots, the areas that are difficult to be serviced by sanitary are already connected. Many of the lots are quite a bit, far from the road. Folks are happy with their well water. So the real purpose of this project is to help our existing customers. It's not a grab for new customers or not an expansion. It's a transmission project. So that's something, as we ask for authorization, we'd like to look at how we bring that to council as a transmission project, not as a neighborhood water line. Because where we are now, the line that goes to Gambier, those folks are not charged for service availability, the water line. So I don't know the history of that. That was before me, but
I was going to say that it's my understanding that council at least was interested in talking about the service availability charge in general.
Yes.
So is potentially this going to be a conversation that we want to roll into that?
I think so. I'm not sure that our folks are quite ready. I mean, that they're doing a full billing system audit and investigating.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
we
just
found
sort of
several mistakes where people are getting charged service availability and they're actually hooked up. And
Yeah, but
there's just some corrections. So yeah,
no, I was just sort of wondering if we should, you know, as we go forward with this project, think about rolling those two things together.
I agree. The only challenge is we have to have this under contract by December 31st because of the ARPA funds.
Well, then we can specifically, if we know what the properties are that are
Yep.
along this transmission line, we can just specifically lay those out in,
And an exclusion.
yeah, in an exclusion. That's not a problem. I mean, I'm certainly think that that would probably be faster and significant, and so we don't delay the project. So as long as we have those as part of
Yeah.
the presentation to council.
Right, so for John, we would, in this legislation, we would specifically name all of the properties that are excluded from service availability. And then we'll have some research if we need to do an addendum or amendment to our contract with the county. We could work that in parallel. We just re-upped those contracts not too long ago.
Yeah.
General conversations or questions?
I mean, I think that makes sense. The meeting that you had invited me to, where we sat down with the township and everything, that seemed like that was one of the primary concerns. And the health department had said that there were some new septic tanks up through there that didn't necessarily need to punch in. So that would take care of kind of concerns on all sides since it's a partnership deal. I think that's definitely worth pursuing further conversation on.
Billing and D&C, what do we think?
As long as it's all laid out and we know that if it's just a transmission line, it's just a transmission line.
Yeah, I think that project's needed. I mean, we've seen the results of the need, so.
Sure.
Yep. The other thing, if we put in all the, it'll take quite a bit more time if we're going to hooking everybody up and having meetings. And the sentiment from the township is clear that people don't want to be hooked up, and we verified the ones that were of concern, health-wise, have already been connected to the existing sewer. So there were some, old complaints, recent memory, and we went and checked, those people were hooked up, and there was confusion because the last manhole's buried in the asphalt. So once we found that, it's like, oh, those people are already hooked up. This has all been taken care of. They thought the sewer ended one section earlier, and the commissioners were very concerned. But then Dwayne found the last manhole, and those folks were connected a few years ago. So. All right, I'll make a motion that we recommend to City Council to authorize for bid and award of the Fairgrounds Road project with some language to classify this project as water and sewer transmission.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I can second that motion.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk can call the roll.
Mr. Sires,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes.
Ms. Bisemer.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Update on fog backflow and industrial pretreatment.
Mine has Mac Industries.
Oh, wait, yep, I skipped.
Oh,
All right,
sorry. I was like, do we have the same one?
Yeah, no. Mac Industries, waiver of WSA.
Do Brad and Quentin, do either one? Yeah, this should be.
Well, the project's all been taken care of, I believe. They came in, filled out the paperwork, paid the fine, or the fee for the drop of the service availability charge, and I think they're in good shape. Do you have any other updates?
No, I think there's maybe one account that we can't do the waiver.
Yeah, come on up. We won't be able to record it from that far back.
I think there's one account that they can't do a waiver for because it's it's a house that they own, so it's still an improved lot, and we don't know where the meter is, and they don't really want us going inside because of the residents that were there before. It's not really a safe building to be in to locate the meter. So when they demolished the building,
No, I think because we couldn't find the meter, I believe that we've allowed the waiver of minimum charge on that building.
oh, okay.
All right,
Well, there you go.
great. Yeah, we put this on back a while, but we weren't sure because of the way the lot lines lay, and we weren't sure that at the time, I thought we might need action by this commission on the approving the waivers.
And I think we moved all of the stormwater fees to the main.
Correct. I think they might have already been.
There were a couple, I think,
Okay.
that.
Yeah. I'll verify.
Okay, so you don't believe we need action to,
I don't think so.
okay. Just for the public, they moved their batch plant, and so they're eliminating water meters that have buildings on them that are on separate parcels, and there was quite a bit of work to try to put the bills where the facilities are. They're gonna basically be going to sort of a central meter. And then there's a few buildings that would temporarily not have utility service, but would be there where utility service was available. So just trying to make sure we were able to be consistent. And the way the lot lines are drawn, it made it difficult to understand. So you don't think we need any action?
No, I think we got clear through
Okay.
the project, so I think we're in good shape.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, update on fog backflow industrial pretreatment.
We were gonna make Aaron do this one, but now you get it. No,
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's fine. So I guess just to provide a background on what these three things are, FOG is an acronym for fats, oils, and grease, and it's a term used to describe regulating wastewater streams primarily from food service establishments or any place that has a grease trap. So anybody that's preparing, serving food, and maybe cleaning dishes, and you have the potential for fats, oils, and grease getting into the sewer, they're going to have a grease trap. Now, the Richland County Health, or it's actually at the state level, I believe, determines that a grease trap's needed if you have a 3-bay sink. So, the wash, rinse, sanitize sort of sink. You need to have a grease trap. It could be indoor or outdoor. If you have an outdoor one, it has to be a certain size. So what we've realized is that we have this flat fee system that we've been charging a lot of facilities, and many of them we did an audit and found out they don't have grease traps. So we were kind of concerned why we were charging them. The thought was maybe that some of them were churches or places that were serving food on occasion, not very regularly. So they didn't have the requirements to need a grease trap, but we thought, well, they're serving food. And after talking with the department and talking with Richland Public Health, we believe that it's kind of the purpose of the FOG program is for regulating the grease trap itself, because that's where we have issues. If the grease trap isn't maintained, if it isn't cleaned out, then we can have a slug discharge of grease all of a sudden go into the sewer. And we're not really worried about a church that has a potluck, once a week and maybe serves a meal another day of the week for hungry people in the community. I cook a lot of food at my house and nobody's regulating me with a FOG permit. So it just seems kind of unreasonable. So one of the things that we're looking at is basing the charge off of the size of the grease trap, because we believe that's the way that we assess the risk of that facility. If you have a 25-gallon inside indoor grease trap, we don't think you should be paying as much as somebody that has 2,000-gallon outdoor grease traps, because the risk of something bad happening is much greater for that person with the larger grease traps. And they're going to need a lot more attention from our administration as well versus the person with the little grease trap inside. So we're looking into that. We have looked into some software. I believe we are very close to purchasing some software to help us regulate these permits. We didn't believe that it made sense to use our current permitting software because there was some functionality that we wanted to have as far as interconnectivity with other applications that we can't get with our current permitting software. So we very close to purchasing that. That software will also be used for our backflow and pretreatment permits. So backflow applies to pretty much every commercial facility. I don't know if there's any sort of grandfather clause for facilities that were built before backflow was a requirement, but as far as I know, every commercial facility has a backflow device. So that's just preventing the water they're receiving from us going back into the system. And they have to have that inspected once a year. And we are required to verify those inspections, maintain all of that documentation. It's typically something that Brad's department receives and then files. So we want to have a system for tracking that as well, sending out notifications to facilities that haven't sent us their documentation, reminders, automated emails, stuff like that, saying, hey, we need this. It's been 11 months, you got 30 days to get us this documentation. And then with pretreatment, I believe we currently only have 5 pretreatment facilities within the city. So pretreatment, industrial pretreatment is a program at the federal and state levels that basically requires us to have specific permits for certain users depending on the type of industry, the type of activities that they have, or the amount of wastewater that they're producing, or some combination thereof. So none of our users, I believe, are categorical users, meaning they're not in a certain industry that they have categorical standards, but we've determined that they are significant industrial users. So because of the amount of wastewater they produce, we want to make sure that the quality of that wastewater coming to us is not very poor. So that requires a lot of work. It's a state-regulated program, and we've been doing it all kind of manually on paper, and we'd like to be putting that into this new system as well. And again, taking a look at the fees associated with that and the process for how we're identifying these. It's quite possible that there could be other significant industrial users in the city that, or maybe even categorical users that we just haven't identified because we don't have a way of really catching that on the back end.
Fantastic.
Any questions?
No, I think it's just something that we realized that I think we're going to give a lot of credit to Brad. You know, he walks into the billing office, like, what are all these file cabinets? What's all this paper? You know, you have the billing system, and then you have all these other things that are happening just on paper. And there's been a lot of frustration. We've had, I mean, I wish Aaron was here. He would have we've had multiple overflows. Coshocton Avenue, I know 3 just offhand. You guys probably know several more where fat oil and grease has been discharged just into the storm system, or, you know, this is something that if you're operating a restaurant, it's one of the last things you think about, honestly. And we need to look at fairly billing all of our customers, and there are fees associated with all of these things. And that's one thing we realized talking to Aaron as he's taken over the last few years, is that we've been really good at raising rates on the majority of the customers, but then these program fees are antiquated. So we really appreciate this systematic look at all of these programs. And then if they're in the system, they'll get notified, and we start getting return mail, we know to take action.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Eliminating paper and after my own heart. All right. Okay. Even though that is clearly not
today.
Exhibited today. Yeah.
But
All
we'll
right.
start tomorrow.
Yeah. It's always tomorrow. All right. Possible reallocation of ARPA funds from Knox Cattle Dam to utility projects. This is just a discussion. Take it away, Brian.
All right, so the mayor and Mayor Starr and Auditor Scott have, the ARPA program is an ever-evolving aspect. So they received some training from the state. Previously, we had, I believe, I'll look at Rob, we had an understanding that county had allocated $1 million to help solve the cattle dam, to construct something. They allocated that money. It has been deposited with the city. So the county's world, they checked the box that the funds have been allocated. But our understanding from the ever-evolving rules from the federal and state government, we are a subrecipient, and so those ARPA funds have to be in our ARPA checkbook. So, again, earlier today, we talked about the Fairgrounds Road. That was the same transfer. They transferred ARPA funds for this project. It's 100% in the county, except for one house of Fairgrounds Road. So those funds were transferred and they're checking it as allocated, but then now we're classified as a subrecipient. So we have to track those to Fairgrounds and Knox Cattle as ARPA funds, which means we have to follow all the rules. We're planning on following all the rules but one. And the one is allocated on a procurement order with a contract on December 31st, 2024. Fairgrounds Road, Mr. Sawyers has signed the agreement with OPWC. We'll be proceeding to council. Plans are done. We're ready to go. Cattle Dam is a different story. Mr. Braun and I have been sitting in with multiple meetings. Now we're on to third judge, and it does not have a clear path. In the first judge, we had public involvement meetings. We identified 4 alternatives. The public seemed to be evenly divided on what they wanted. So there's not a clear path. We've expended about $100,000 of the $1 million for emergency interim risk reduction measures. We'll be coordinating some additional measures since the ones we have now are being insufficient, and the algae is overtaking all of our methods of getting the water out of it. So that's we have given the court a tentative deadline to make some decisions, but we fear that this $900,000 will be recalled by the federal government. And in that, we are authorized to make some decisions on how we spend the money. So,
well, the county had originally allocated this ARPA funds to the city with the understanding that we would use it to help defray whatever needed to be done at the Knox Cattle Company Dam. They did recognize that that might not be possible and gave us the ability to sort of repurpose them for other sorts of water, wastewater, stormwater projects. And so that is what we're here to talk about, is are there specific water, wastewater, stormwater projects that we could have so the money could be properly allocated and things off and running before December 31st so we don't have to return the money to the state and federal governments.
Spark Notes version for anybody listening. There's a court situation going on with the cattle dam. We don't think we can go into contract by December 31st. If we don't, we lose the money. So better to reallocate the money to a different project related to water, wastewater, instead of sending it back to DC to go to God knows what. There you go. We have communicated with the county that this is...
We will.
Okay.
We communicated it to the judge and the people, all the
other parties
attending the conference calls.
Okay. Which, when they gave us this money, this was in the back of the mind that... Okay.
They understood the fact that this group might never be able to, and even if the court comes to a decision and then sort of authorizes something to happen, depending on how the party who gets stuck with it might just decide to appeal the case, at which time, once again, nothing happens.
Right.
And so we're down the road another 2 or 3 years before there's any sort of final determination.
Right.
And at that point, we will have lost the money and.
Right.
Stuck between a rock and a wet place, I guess.
So there's 2 opportunities to lose the money. So they could make a decision to do something. We could put this on a contract, but then ARPA also has a construction complete date, which I believe is, I don't remember, I don't want to say it wrong, but there also is a performance period that if you put it on a contract, you also have to have the work done by a certain date. So there's 2 opportunities for this to go awry. So we want to get the conversation started. I did not bring a list of projects. I know that Mr. Reinhardt is thinking strongly toward some plant work. And so he'll be coordinating with his assistant directors and our staff to think about things that are desperately needed at the water plant. John's taking a tour. There's definitely some things it could be.
There are plenty of things to do.
Plenty of things to do.
For emphasis, this is not the city ignoring the cattle dam. This is the city recognizing that there are restraints on a particular type of money, particularly ARPA, and that we don't want to lose that opportunity to utilize that money since this has been allocated for that project. So we are going to take the opportunity to reallocate this money for other projects that are needed in the city. And then when that court case is settled, depending on the settlement or
At that point, we'll deal with.
right.
Yep.
When that's what I'm getting at. When that court case is resolved, I don't want to say settled, that court case is resolved, then we will look at the facts on the ground at that point, and then we will decide to go from there.
Yeah, in parallel, Rob and I will be coordinating with the DNR to say, hey, there are some additional interim risk reduction measures that we will like to recommend, and potentially if we get a decision on that, some of this money would be used for improved safety
And
at the
some
dam.
has.
Yeah, 100,000, about 100,000 has been used, and that has been largely successful, but now that we don't have fish, we have a pretty serious algae problem, and the outlet works are clogging algae.
Grass carp. Diabetes, grass carp.
Yeah, but we don't have enough water to sustain. Yeah, it's the court orders have put us in a position where it's has to be low water for safety. But then the oxygen isn't where it needs to be.
Fickle ecosystem.
That's right.
All right. Any other comments on that? All right. There's no action to take right now. We're not going to propose any projects.
We just want to get it out in front of the public for folks, particularly who were not at the may not have been at the conference call with the judge.
Yeah. We got another one coming up.
All right. So, back to this. All right. Got that. Moving on to old business. We got Maria Guillermo update. Rob and I have discussed this one-on-one, and we are going to handle this internally. So Maria is not here with us today. We will be discussing that with her separately.
We have a meeting already scheduled with her.
Yeah. So a staggered fees update. We are at 1 hour and 45 minutes already. So
I think this is super
1 hour and
important.
15.
what's that?
1:15.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. I think this is the first time that we have seen that the entirety of the commission has seen all of the edits. See, Israel's here.
I think let's sidestep this. Where I think what we need to resolve today is in this special agreement with 301 North Mulberry, there is some ambiguity, and my department may have misunderstood the intent of this. We're not. I think there's some questions that need to be answered because our guys are buying things. Things are happening that our people seem to be confused.
Okay.
So maybe as far as the exact writing of the future agreement, but I think we may need to revisit this agreement
letter.
and
So-
just understand what the field is and what the owner's responsibility is and what our staff's responsibility under this agreement.
This proposed staggered fees draft is a draft. It is not the current policy. So now that everyone has that in that attachment with the proposed edits here, let's table this until the next meeting, and then everybody can look at that and make any comments. If you have comments, send them to you can email them to everybody and we can get that discussion going. Or we can come back here, and have that comment, you know, in the public meeting and make proposals, whatnot for those changes. But, we're gonna table that until, the September meeting, and then we'll take action on it then. Let's move into other business and discuss this.
Yep.
So, on, let's see, May 6th, 2024, following the conversation that we had at it would have been the May meeting of the Utilities Commission, I sent out a letter to Mr. Mazza and Associates at 301 North Mulberry Street, LLC. It read, I'm writing on behalf of the City of Mount Vernon regarding the development at 301 North Mulberry Street and your request to hook up water taps on an as-needed basis without incurring the related fees. We understand the necessity of timely access to essential utilities during the course of development projects, and we are committed to supporting your efforts in this regard. Therefore, we hereby authorize you to proceed with water tap installations as required for your project without the imposition of fees typically associated with such connections. This permission is granted with the understanding that all necessary regulations and requirements regarding water tap installations and usage will be strictly adhered to. It is imperative that the installations are conducted safely and in compliance with all relevant codes and standards. To ensure the integrity of our water infrastructure and the safety of the surrounding community, we insist that city staff are the individuals tasked with turning these taps on and off. Please note that this permission is granted solely for the duration of your development project and that the specified location, 301 North Mulberry Street, any extensions or alterations to the project scope will require separate authorization from the city. Should you have any questions or require further clarification regarding this matter, please do not hesitate to contact my office. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding. So.
Okay. So on our side, we created a process in our permitting system that they pay the $75 for each water and sewer, and that authorizes them to use water until they have a tenant, and then they, as soon as the tenant pays their deposit, they come in and pay the bill. So we created that workflow, but I don't know if that's correct.
So the discussion was that they would start paying as they had occupancy.
Right, the meters
yeah,
would be
that's
set.
just kind of
The meters would be set at 0.
distilling that down. Yeah.
And then as soon as someone moves in, that person is responsible for the water used in the state permitting process, the cleaning, and the showing process, is what I understood. I don't think that's correct.
So, I have no problem with the billing at all, but if I don't control the valves, accounts will not get set up, billing will not start. We have to control the valves, 100%.
Yes. And that was what was discussed in
Right.
the last meeting. Is that-
So, somebody
So-
other than the meter department has been turning on valves.
But
Okay.
my
So-
understanding was as soon as they paid the $75 fees, the guys were supposed to turn the valves on.
Who's
That
the
was
guys?
not the full discussion. I know that's what you proposed, but I think I went and re-listened to the conversation. So the letter doesn't perfectly match the conversation.
Okay. It says city staff.
Yes, it
That
is.
part does.
That was the ambiguity.
Yeah.
So the previous committee meeting said that the water would only be turned on for state inspections.
Yeah, we did not discuss showing, we did not, that's dangerous because it'll be a year before we find out there's any usage on that meter and we have to go back and redo everything. We go through this all the time. It's something that our office struggles with all the time. It creates a lot of extra work and manpower. I would much rather take meter guys up there every single day than to leave the water on and not know when the account gets switched over. I think I have no problem with the need for water, for inspections, even if they want to turn it on for showing. I would rather turn it on than turn it back off.
When you say turn it on for showing.
Yeah, if they want to show the apartment and they need water on to show
Oh,
a
I see what
tenant,
you mean.
that's
Okay.
fine. I have no problem with that. I understand that there may be a need for that, but we want the water back off until there's actually a tenant signed up for the bill, because that's our only trigger to make sure that that happens. Because the process from engineering to us for taps does not work correctly. I can have Jenny describe it a little bit more, but we get like chunks of these approvals. Wastewater, water is separate. we do not get contacted from the account holder, right? The only way that we force an account holder to contact us is they turn the faucet on, there's no water. They're like, oh, I got to call the water company. That's about the only way people put stuff in their names. It happens between tenants at owners' houses. Like, it's a constant struggle for us. So the only checkpoint, the only thing that allows us to be the gatekeeper of that is to have our meter guys be the ones to turn it on, because they know they have to notify us. If anything's strange, they let us know, we take care of it. If the water's just on, somebody moves in, Waterworks, they don't think about all the utilities, right? They don't call us. They will not call us. So if you have 38 of them, maybe 20 will call us. The other ones will be like, oh, the Waterworks, I have no need to do that. And it'll be a while before we catch that.
Run into the same situation we just had with this lady here prior.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
We're gonna have to forgive
what happens.
this, that, and the other.
So
Yeah, good point.
I realize that we'll bill for the usage. I have no problem with that. I don't care about the minimum service charges. I just care about having that account in the correct person's name so that we can bill accurately, and it doesn't create hours of work for my staff and Josh's staff.
So,
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, this is a,
I mean,
yep,
no,
over here.
come up. Yep.
Because when we go back and watch this, we won't hear what you
Listen to
said.
it.
I mean, I understand to an extent what he's saying, but I mean, at the same time, as the owner of that building up there, I mean, we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the tenant starts paying that bill. You have lien rights. So I'm not going to let that counter run for a year or 2 years and accumulate a fee that's not going to be taken care of and put the property at risk. I mean, that, to me, I don't see that. I see that as a moot point to the whole process. I mean, realistically, I mean, we have to have water for the cleaning, for the showings, to get the building up and going. We are in a process right now. We've got three that we paid capacity fees on that are living there. Last night, basically in the last 2 days, we've had 4 more people come in. I'm waiting on checks to come back from Columbus. We can come down and pay those capacity fees. That way we can have those people put those into their names. It's in process. But I think, I mean, the staggered fee, I mean, I think it's great that discussion is going on right at the moment. I think maybe, input from me or another developer about the needs and the process of getting a building like that up and going might be beneficial to this. But from a billing standpoint, I mean, if you got those meters set, you got the remote set, you can see that there's water being used regardless where that account's being put in once we pay the application process. Is that not true?
It's not until the MXUs are, yeah. Would you like to hear from the person?
Yes.
And
then, I mean, can that be adapted to be incorporated into this to make all this flow better for not only this project, but projects in the future?
Yeah.
The proper solution.
Well,
wait,
we're gonna let
hang on.
we're gonna let Jenny.
Let her talk in the microphone so we get a good recording of the discussion.
Yeah.
And also, just to comment on this, the reason that we are, trying to get an actual policy on the books is up until, I don't know, 3 years ago, the amount of developments that were coming into Mount Vernon were non-existent. I mean, the last time that we had a significant development like this was what, 2002? So, it was just kind of an as-needed basis, and it was as needed very rarely. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't just, shooting from the hip up here when anybody came in. So this is a, very kind of a progressive thing that we're doing to make sure that, we have something on the books. So we're ironing out these kind of things, and we do need the input. That way we know what we're doing, and developers know when they come to Mount Vernon what to expect. So, have some patience as we kind of, work together,
Right.
because we're working with essentially two departments and 3 divisions within those departments. So,
Right. It's very important. So the mayor has brought a developer here who walked away from their last project because of the city utility. So this is not for Israel. This is for
Mount
the
Vernon.
next big project. We got them because they walked away from the other city's utility department.
Yeah. And simultaneously, you have a fiduciary responsibility to, your property and your clients. We have a fiduciary responsibility to all users to our utility.
And I agree with
So, yeah. So we're going to look out for the entirety of that. Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, basically, what Mr. Schaaf says is exactly right, and what you're saying is exactly right. And we do have that process, but we bypassed it this time. The process is they put in water the day those meters are dropped, there is an active account and billing starts because city ordinance says billing is for usage from 0 to 400 cubic feet. The owner of the property is responsible for that bill until the tenant takes it over. And we know the tenant takes it over when they call us, give us their information, and I build an account in their name. What happened this time is that the owner was told they don't have to pay anything until, well, they don't have to pay anything. Except, well, what was it, 70, you're paying 75 up front and then the tenant pays it?
We have all intention of paying for the water usage
Right.
until that tenant goes in place. That water will be taken care of.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
but that's
so-
not what's happening because we were told not to build active payable accounts, billable accounts, until a tenant is in there. So what I did, because we have to have something, I built accounts for every apartment in the owner's name, 301 North Mulberry LLC, as is on the county auditor's site, but I left them inactive per the decision made. When a tenant calls in and says, I am moving in on this date, we activate it as of that date, make sure, the meters have already been put in. Like I said, the procedure is supposed to be a meter goes in, billing starts. Well, in this case, meters are in. There is no billing until a tenant calls us. So, like you said, water has been turned on in places where there's not a tenant. That's not getting billed because it's an inactive account, so it doesn't show up in our billing process. So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah. And this can all be remedied by making sure somebody from, the meter department, whoever handles that, goes out and they're the ones that turn the meter on.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to bypass the whole every account is billed, no matter who's actually paying it, then you don't even have to worry about that. We can leave it on and somebody's getting billed for it. But if you only want to bill the tenants, then only our guys can go out there and turn it on. Are the radio reads, the MXUs? Yeah, we don't have radio read capability out there yet. So they're all manual reads, but they don't show up on the manual reader until the account is active. And I have been told I cannot make those accounts active until there is a tenant in the apartment. So that's where we're at with that.
So who is currently turning the meters on?
Supposedly our guys. When we get a tenant call in, we tell them, you can go turn that one on.
Right.
But there's some on that are not set up. So somebody's turning valves on that's not our meter guys.
All right.
You guys turned them all on yesterday.
Because
Had to
we
go
were
there
told,
3:30.
I was told by the city engineer to send my guys out to turn all the water valves on.
Yeah, per tenant's
Yes.
instruction, right?
Well, that's
Per the agreement that
right.
was discussed amongst.
And that's
everybody
where I
else.
think I was trying to go back and find the agreement because I was, we had the draft, but we didn't have the final sign. And then we read this, and there were, in my opinion, I may not have been doing this correctly. That's why we wanted to bring it here today to reach agreement because I don't know that I should have said that.
Yeah, my thought is here, what are,
Yeah, jump up there.
by going around this, what are we saving? Are we saving Joel Mazza a couple $1,000s on minimum bills? Because typically, once those meters hit, there's an account made, a minimum bill is issued. So we could have very easily done our original process. Joel may have paid 2 or 3 minimum bills, or whoever, whatever the LLC is.
Ex-developer.
Yeah.
The developer may have, had to pay a few minimum bills until a renter was in that building. That would have cleaned up the process for my guys, for the water billing office tremendously. So with my guys, we've ordered locks. We would like to lock those meters shut just to help clean up the meter office and this whole process. So that way we know exactly when somebody moves in and who is going to be billed and taking care of that. I did send my guys out yesterday. We turned everything on, and that's currently where we're at. Just trying to figure it out right now.
Okay, so here is the edict moving forward. Not going to sign another letter. I don't think I need to do that. I think we've been pretty clear throughout this entire process. And I know we've been very generous to 301 North Mulberry. Only the meters, the guys in the meter department, that's DNC.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Okay.
distribution
Yeah.
and collection
All right.
department, whether it be meters.
All right.
Sub-department.
So, only they will turn the meters on. You can lock them if you want. This letter specifically states now, and I will own that, it says city staff. That did not help you or
Well, no,
or
we
you
didn't.
guys.
The engineering has not been
Yeah.
in there other than for the inspection.
Right,
We have
yeah.
not.
And
Nobody
also,
from my department has turned any
regardless,
meters.
with the conversations that have taken place, that did not help either one of you. So I
Mm-hmm.
apologize. Yeah, that ambiguity is not great. Only the meter guys can turn the meters on. You can lock them if you want. I don't know if you want to contact them for a showing. You may do that. That's fine. The whole point of this is as developments continue, whether it is 34 units, 36, something like that.
I mean, we're looking at 60 in the back,
Sure,
potentially,
but-
depending on, I mean,
But right now it's giant mounds of dirt. So,
right.
but the
Well,
goal,
it's contention right at the moment between
Regard-
the investors and the city. I
re-
mean,
reg- there's no contention.
we need to,
Whether it's
Settle this.
you
right.
or whether it's, X developer who's going to put 320 units in, the whole goal is to be as, welcoming to development as we possibly can.
Right.
And we don't want to just flip them all on and let the bill run until everybody is in there. So we have started this process. This letter was signed when there was no process in place and we were just winging it because we wanted to be helpful. And I think we were. We then immediately went out and drafted a policy, which, we admittedly kind of bungled our way through as we were trying to, get edits out to everybody. But that's the whole point of having a policy in place is when we come back to it and another developer, or when you come back for, phase 2, and we say, okay, we want to do this again, I don't have to go, okay, how are we going to do this?
Yes.
We have a policy that we can point to, or, and I don't care if it's 60, I don't care if it's 600, we will have that to point to. I come back to the retreat. The retreat didn't ask for this because they have a single meter, correct? All right. So it's not an issue for them. You guys have chosen to break it up. So that's the reason that we're pursuing this. Moving forward, only the meter guys flip the meters on.
So,
I think that solves the issue, yes?
No.
clarification then,
Yeah.
are we to leave them on currently? Or are we allowed to turn them off, lock them,
Yeah,
and then
turn
them
them, why
as
are,
we're called and needed?
the question is, for the owners of 301 North Mulberry, do you want to pay for active meters if they have nobody if you have nobody in the unit?
Well, and my point is, like I said, we had basically 3 move-ins yesterday.
Okay?
Our billing process and our basically financial and accounting process, I can't have the check here today. They go turn the meters off, they have no water up there today.
Okay.
And I guess the other thing is, she's saying that, they're calculating that she's not billing. That water usage between 0 and until that gets turned on, we have all intentions of paying. So I don't know if it's a process that they can do to basically take all those inactive accounts, make it one lump sum at the end of this, bill it once and be done, or what that process looks like on their end, because obviously that's their system. But I mean, it's not like we're asking to have free water here by
Right,
any
yeah.
means whatsoever.
Well, and I don't think that we're concerned that that's what you're asking. What
Right.
we're concerned is more of the logistics along the way. Is if you know on Friday that you got a guy moving in on Monday, we need to know that we can go flip the water on Friday, and then whatever the cost is between Friday and Monday, yeah, you're gonna have to incur that cost. That's just how the water works. Does that make sense?
I mean, to an extent, yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's
that's the agreement that we had. Is we would not, from, when you were ready to go to that Friday before the guy moves in, we said we wouldn't charge you for access to the water.
right. But we paid the application fees at this point. My
Yeah,
point
to drop
being,
the meter.
my point being, those meters all started at 0. We know they all started at 0. If
Yep.
there's 400 cubic feet of usage on one of those meters at this point. When I call to have them go ahead and activate that account into that tenant's name, bill me for that usage at that point, and it's paid for. In the meantime, allow the meters to be on so that we can continue cleaning, getting the service up and going, do the showings, and not have interruptions in water supply. It's crucial in this stage. If that building was sitting there already existing and everybody was already occupying it, it's not a big deal at that point. You have a tenant move out, you know, you take care of it, then it gets transferred and it gets taken care of. This is a startup building at this point. There's a lot of moving parts. There's startup management company at this point. We have a lot of moving parts with accounting.
Yeah. But you're kind of moving the goalpost here on me.
Well, okay, so let's go back to our process. So every unit has paid basically the down payment where they're paid the fees. We've created the framework, and that now if there's an issue, I'm going to say that Brad and Lacey and Quentin need to get together because all those accounts should have been sent to the billing office to be created under the LLC. And then as we get the rest, as we get the capacity fee paid, our system will send you another notification. It says, hey, these are paid in full and they're ready to go. So those are, you know, those 3 are done. We have some scheduled for next week. So there will be another communication step from engineering saying these are paid. And then all the clocks are running.
So the conversation is not about the total usage, right? We'll bill, that's fine. The meter will pick that up. That's not the argument. The only problem is that the account gets put in the correct name. That's the problem. That will be the bottleneck. So we can have water turned on same day, less than an hour typically.
Okay.
So if your tenant moves in, has a move-in date, if you instruct them to call and set up an account, as soon as they do that, we'll go turn the meter on.
Well, and again, he's going to pay the rest of the capacity fee, and we'll have the name of the tenant in our system. I mean, if I need to print out.
So I don't believe the tenants are on. The tenants do not come across through iWork. The tenant has to call us. We need information to set up their account.
What do you mean?
No, tenants. We've had 3. We've had the first 3.
Just the 3 that we've had. Yeah,
Right.
just the 3 that we paid the capacity.
5 active accounts from.
Well, you have the house
like
meter.
the first week.
And we have the house
more like in the last week. We've got like 8 or.
But are the tenants contacting us?
Well, that's the process. They call us, we, you know, do the form, we send the guy out on that date.
Right, to turn it on. But
Yeah.
have we had that not happen? We
Not that
we
I've
have
heard.
because we've gone in. There's been valves on with no account set
we've
up.
gone in, there's been
That's the problem. So
Well, the valves that were on this, that didn't necessarily mean there was a tenant in there. It might have been us in there cleaning that unit.
Yeah.
I
right,
mean,
but
you can't build a house without cleaning it. I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah, that's not the question. Who turned the valve on then?
It probably was one of my guys.
Okay. Specified in this letter, only city staff should be turning the water on.
And I understand that, and we can come back to that, but I mean, in reality, that's probably how they got turned on.
Okay.
I mean, we were the ones that installed all the duct
Right.
tiles, put in all the copper,
So-
put in the valves.
Yeah. To close this up, and we will finish this staggered draft fee at the next meeting. Only city staff will turn our meters on.
And that's fine, as
Yeah.
long as we leave them on currently at this point. or
Well,
else we're
if you
gonna
leave them
basically-
on currently, you will incur the fee that is associated with any sort of usage and the related fees.
And I'm
Nope.
okay with that.
Okay. Guess not.
Well,
Go ahead.
that brings me to a question for you then.
Okay.
So all those inactive accounts that I have that are in the name of the owner, should I be activating all of them?
Well,
If we're leaving the water on?
well,
if-
they should be activated. The issue is we're not sending them a physical bill until it gets changed into.
But if it's an active account, it gets billed.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
so the gatekeeper goes away when you do that. There's no way for us to know that a tenant has taken over. That's the problem.
But that's the thing is that they're on the hook because we are counting it. We turn on the meter, we count it, and so we're still once it becomes active, we're counting. Even if their tenant screws up and doesn't call, we're still generating the usage and everything.
Right,
But
but
there's
Rob-
going to be a minimum bill once you activate the account.
There's a
That's
3,000
standard-
gallon,
That's a standard across our billing system. If we
Yeah,
turn them
I know.
on,
3,000 gallons, 400 cubic feet minimum water and sewer if it's on.
Right, and that's what he's trying to avoid, and I understand that, right? That's not, that,
He's not actually saying he's not trying to avoid it. He's saying he wants
Okay.
to use the water.
What
Let's,
initiated all
let's,
this was basically.
I think there is no action that is going to be taken by the Utilities Commission regarding this today. So this sounds like an administrative action that can be taken by me separately.
Well,
So let's have this conversation offline. We'll schedule a meeting and then the 4 or 5 of us can sit down and hammer this out.
Yeah, I think we need Lacey here too. 'cause
Yeah,
I think
so
there's a
I-
lot of confusion
yeah,
on what
I
we
think-
were supposed
yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And we'll,
We-
yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, putting our head through a wall ain't doing anything for anyone. All right. So, any other business that needs to come before the Utilities Commission? Nope.
Move to adjourn.
All right. We got a motion?
I'll second.
The head nod is a second. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed can stay here. All right.
Good. All right. We gotta. Yeah. This.
Yep.
I think they're willing to pay for stuff. And
Yeah,
it's-
no. We
It's
just
not
need to, it's a process.
I don't know the limitations of theirs.